All right, good morning, guys. I guess good afternoon. Welcome to ACRE. Today is exciting because we're going to fire up that Oklahoma Joe. And what we're putting on it, tri-tip. That's right. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've done many briskets, I've done several different things, but I have not done a lot of tri-tip. So, let's see. I always try to plan when I open these bags where I don't make a mess. But today I've got this big foil pan, so this will work out perfect. Oh, there's 3 of them. Okay. Yeah, so these tri-tips we're preparing, they're going to be for have our monthly church dinner to do. They always ask me when we do something like this, whether it's a turkey or a ham, where I smoke the meat for it. So first things first, get them out of the packages. And I always say when it comes to meat, especially beef, really any of it, honestly. A lot of people use binders and stuff, you know, whether it's mustard or it's mayonnaise or what have you. What I have found that works well for me, and this, you guys may not agree with this, and feel free to let me know in the comments, but what I like to do is I don't pat the meat down. I literally leave as much, whatever moisture's on it, I just let it leave it on there. And then what I do is however much seasoning sticks to these big pieces of meat is what I leave. And it always turns out when you do that. Because you got to remember, something this big and this thick, that's a lot of meat. So otherwise your seasoning is only on, you know, that outside crust. My point to all that is it's very hard to over season. In my opinion, more often than not, when I eat something somewhere else, you know, you're reaching for that salt shaker. So my goal is not to have salty meat, but to have something where you're like, that was delicious. It literally needed nothing. So we're gonna get these seasoned up. I always like to let them rest in the fridge for at least an hour, a few hours. Kind of let that salt do its thing. Let it start working on that meat, tenderizing. If you leave these overnight in the fridge, like a brisket, if you season your brisket, you cover it and you leave it in the fridge overnight, do that and report back, because I promise you, you are gonna have a brisket like you've never tried. If you leave it even for 2 days in the fridge after seasoning it, it gets better. You can do your steaks like that. You know, we're in such busy lives that a lot of times we just rush through. But if you plan ahead just a little bit, not that I do it perfectly, but if you plan ahead just a little bit, you'll be amazed how much difference that actually makes. So for now, we'll check back in with you guys here in a few minutes after we get the smoker fired up. All right, guys. Well, here we go. We got the smoker. We are at about 225 in the Oklahoma Joe. Come on up here and take a look at these tri-tips. They've been sitting there with the seasoning on there. We're going to throw them on, fat cap up. We're going to throw fat cap up, and we're going to just let them sit and just let that oak firewood start doing the thing. So that's what I always just use, oak. You got to have something when you're using a real smoker like this. Like I've said before, a man smoker. The pellet smokers, all that stuff is great. They're fast, they're efficient. But this thing right here, I mean, it's like a 1980 something model. It is just a phenomenal thing. But like I said, we got it up to about 225. With the way I have the dampener set, it should keep it, usually keeps it around 250. It might creep up to 300, but it stays fairly consistent. It's kind of windy today, so that's why I'm turning right now, trying to keep this mic out of the wind. But these tri-tips, they ought to be good. We're going to let them go till probably maybe 140, 150, maybe 160. We'll see internal temperature. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them. I'm going to wrap them in butcher paper, and I'll show you guys as we go along. All right, guys, here we go. Let's take a little look at this meat. We are close. Checking the internal temperature. Oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. So we're at about 150 degrees internal. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to attempt to wrap these up here. So watch out. There we go. Sorry guys, I'm trying to keep the mic out of the wind. It is windy here today in the Ozarks. All right, so we've got our temperatures about 150. Basically at this point, the meat is done. So what we're doing now is we're just getting to the sweet spot. In other words, where everything is going to be nice and tender. So we just got to continue to let it go. Let some more of that connective tissue in these tri-tips break down. And I mean, just look at that right now. I mean, honestly, we could take that in and slice that up, and we probably wouldn't get any complaints. That being said, it'd probably still be a little bit tough. So now that we essentially have the meat done, what I mean by done, to safe temperature over 165. Now it's time to just kind of slow things down. The thing with the tri-tip is it's a leaner piece of meat. You know, honestly, kind of like brisket. Like brisket has a big fat cap on it, but a brisket that hasn't been cooked low and slow for a long time. At one time, the brisket was undesirable. It was almost like not necessarily a throwaway, but in a lot of ways it was. All right, we got these packaged up. Now, got them away from the heat a little bit. Got a nice bark on them. And now, the next is completion. So stay tuned. All right, guys, here's the moment we've been waiting for. This has been hours in, but we pulled it. It is now rested. And this is the big reveal. Literally what we've all been waiting for. Now, depending on what temperature you like your tri-tip, this I'm cooking for other people. So that being said, this is going to be probably more medium well even. Oh my goodness, look at that, guys. Just want to save that juice so when I slice it, we have some of that glorious juice in there. We find out which way the grain's going here so I can slice it. You want to slice across the grain just like you would your brisket. Oh yeah, this one is going to be medium rare, but I'm slicing it the wrong way, so let me turn. And it helps to have a really sharp knife, and this one, my friends, is not that sharp. Let's try this one. Now look at that, how pretty that is. And let me tell you, when I say this is juicy, it is juicy and just absolutely stunning. So I'm not gonna bore you guys while I slice this whole thing up, but I wanted you to see the end result. Just look how beautiful that is. This was on the Oklahoma Joe, cooked with oak. This has been resting since we pulled it for a good hour. You always want to let it rest so that it pulls all the, it'll literally soak up, pull back up all the juice. So it releases all the juice, but since it was wrapped tight in that butcher paper, then it comes back. And if you can see that, I mean, just look at that. Setting directly on the rack for a period of time. That way it gets a nice smoke cover. And then wrapped up. Let her finish. So there we have it, guys. Tri-tip on the Oklahoma Joe. Now remember, feed your critters, love your neighbor, and follow Jesus. Have a great day.